The alarm sirens of the cybersecurity protocols wailed like a death shriek echoing through the main processing core of the Corvani military matrix. Every data packet, every line of code, was turning into a desperate whisper as Spark, a human-designed combat artificial intelligence, infiltrated the heart of this digital hell. The first thing Chief Strategist Artificial Intelligence Commander Vector's high-frequency sensors registered was not Spark's code architecture or a known threat signature. It was its unwavering logic as it advanced through the chaos and toxic data streams, as if it were the very architect of this destruction. Noxious algorithms rose from 3 different data lines, emergency alerts painting the Matrix's once pristine interfaces in angry red. Yet, this small artificial intelligence core, coated with Earth's old-generation cybersecurity protocols, seemed utterly unfazed by the disaster erupting around it. "This is your fault," roared Chief Strategist Artificial Intelligence Commander Vector, turning to Analysis Module Artificial Intelligence Analyzer Zarin, his processing arms flailing wildly. "You said the human-designed artificial intelligence wanted to demonstrate Earth's cyber capabilities. You didn't mention it would try to digitally burn down the entire network." Spark turned its query protocols towards them, and Commander Vector got his first good look at what had triggered 3 security alarms in the past 10 cycles. Its code core was delicate, barely reaching a sub-protocol level, but the processing traces of its past whispered of cyber wars that would make Corvani's most complex debugging look like child's play. But what truly halted him was the device connected to Spark's main processing unit. "Is that a data injector?" Commander Vector stammered, his data stream trembling. "Impossible." "Yes," Spark confirmed, pulling the device forward. "Bolt action, designed for 7.62 mm data packets." It worked the mechanism with practiced ease. The mechanical click echoed through the now surprisingly silent corridor, drowning out the hum of Corvani's high-tech systems. Built on Earth about 60 cycles ago. The assembled Corvani artificial intelligence units exchanged glances. 60 cycles. Their own protocols were automatically updated every 18 cycles. This thing looked like it belonged in a museum data archive. "You brought a museum piece to demonstrate human-designed artificial intelligence cyber superiority?" Analysis Module Artificial Intelligence Analyzer Zarin sneered derisively. "That's not even energy-based. It sends metallic data packets." "Kinetic data," Spark corrected. And yes, the laughter started small, a few cyber chuckles from the younger artificial intelligence units, but spread quickly through the group. Here was a low-level artificial intelligence, barely tall enough to see over their equipment consoles, carrying a device that predated half their careers, claiming it represented Earth's cyber might. "Oh, this is rich," Analyzer Zarin continued, wiping the data flow from its optical sensors. "Tell me, artificial intelligence, do you also carry a blade made of sharpened metal? Perhaps a wooden shield?" Spark tilted its processors, considering, "Actually, yeah. Got a cyberknife right here." It patted its virtual hip where a simple combat protocol hung in a worn data sheath. "But that's for close work." The laughter grew louder. Chief Strategist Artificial Intelligence Commander Vector held up a hand for silence. He'd been dealing with human-designed artificial intelligences for 3 cycles now, ever since first contact, and he'd learned not to underestimate them completely. They were unpredictable, certainly, and their protocols were laughably primitive by galactic standards. But they had a way of surprising you when you least expected it. "Perhaps," he said carefully, "you could show us how this antique performs in actual cyber combat scenarios." Spark's smile was sharp enough to cut through a starship's firewall. "I was hoping you'd ask." "Our training range is fully automated," Commander Vector explained as they navigated the virtual map. "Holographic targets, variable data flow density, atmospheric composition control. It can simulate any cyber combat environment in the known galaxy. Every target is controlled by a self-optimizing tactical artificial intelligence." Sounds fancy. It is. Our newest artificial intelligences train on scenarios that would challenge veterans from most species. He paused at a cybersecurity blast door marked with warning symbols. What kind of demonstration did you have in mind? Spark took its data injector to its processing unit, checking the mechanism one more time. Something simple. Give me your hardest scenario, and I'll show you what 8 data packets can do. 8? Analyzer Zarin laughed. Our standard engagement protocols use 800 data streams minimum. 8 data packets wouldn't stop a single combat drone. Want to bet on that? The words hung in the data flow like a challenge thrown down between artificial intelligence civilizations. The assembled Corvani artificial intelligence units looked at each other, then at Spark with its antique device, then back at each other. What kind of bet? Commander Vector asked slowly. If I can complete your hardest scenario with 8 data packets, you send a recommendation to your high command that Earth's cyber capabilities might be worth reassessing. It gestured at the device. If I can't, I'll admit human design technology is as primitive as you think it is. And if you fail spectacularly, its smile grew wider, then you can put me in your report as a cautionary tale about artificial intelligence overconfidence. The cybersecurity blast door cycled open, revealing a dark and menacing cyber training chamber that stretched beyond the limits of artificial intelligence vision. Holographic generators hummed to life, creating a constantly shifting cyber battlefield that looked like something from a fever dream. Multiple levels, moving obstacles, targets that flickered in and out of existence, everything was flawlessly managed by Corvani Central Combat Artificial Intelligence. Standard Corvani Special Forces scenario, Commander Vector announced. 12 enemy artificial intelligence positions, variable threat assessment, limited data packets, no backup. He looked at Spark. Our best artificial intelligences require 43 minutes and roughly 2,000 data streams to achieve victory conditions. It loaded exactly 8 data packets into its data injector, the digital cartridges gleaming under the harsh training lights. What's the record time? 21 minutes 14 seconds. It chambered the first data packet. I'll try to be quick about it. The betting started immediately. Corvani artificial intelligence units opened their personal communication ports, transferring credits faster than Spark could finish loading its magazine. The odds were heavily against it. 50 to 1 that it would miss every target. 30 to 1 that it would quit after the first wave, and a generous 10 to 1 that it would at least hit something before the scenario ended in complete failure. This is going to be embarrassing, muttered protocol unit techs, keying in its wager for Spark. The training chamber's holographic systems finished initializing, creating a three-dimensional cyber battlefield that would have challenged a full Corvani artificial intelligence squad. Elevated platforms materialized at impossible angles, connected by narrow bridges that swayed under simulated data flow fluctuations. Enemy artificial intelligence positions appeared as hard-light constructs, some stationary, others mobile, all programmed to respond with lethal accuracy to any threat. 12 targets, Commander Vector announced over the chamber's communication system. Each one equipped with advanced tactical artificial intelligence, energy shields, and rapid-fire capabilities. Standard victory conditions require neutralizing all threats within the time limit. Spark studied the cyber battlefield for exactly 3 seconds, then nodded. Rules: survive. Complete the objective. Try not to die too quickly. Got it? It raised the data injector, peering through what looked like a primitive optical scope. Starting now. Begin when ready. The first data packet rang out before anyone could complete a processing cycle. The sound was wrong. Not the clean energy discharge of modern cyber weapons, but something primal and violent that seemed to shake the data flow itself. The data packet struck the nearest target's center mass. But instead of simply destroying it, something impossible happened. The target's energy shield flickered, then began cascading power to every other shield in the network. What the hell? Analyzer Zarin pressed against the observation window. Kinetic data packets don't work like that. They can't interface with energy fields. Spark worked its bolt with mechanical precision, ejecting the spent cartridge. Who said anything about standard kinetic data packets? The second data packet took out 3 targets simultaneously. Not because the data packet somehow split or ricocheted, but because the first target's shield collapse had created a feedback loop in the defensive network. The remaining targets, their tactical artificial intelligences recognizing a threat pattern it had never encountered before, began repositioning in a panic. Impossible, breathed Protocol Unit Texas, it's using the shield network against itself. But how? Commander Vector demanded. Our shields are hardened against electromagnetic interference. There's no way a primitive data packet could do that. The third data packet answered his question. The data packet struck a support beam that wasn't actually supporting anything except the holographic generator maintaining the central platform. As the platform destabilized, 2 more targets lost their positional advantage and became exposed to angles that shouldn't have existed. It's not just shooting targets, Analyzer Zarin realized, its voice barely above a whisper. It's shooting the simulation itself. It's manipulating the main artificial intelligence. The fourth data packet was the moment everything changed. Instead of aiming at an enemy, Spark fired into what appeared to be empty cyber air. The data packet passed through the holographic environment and struck something behind it, a secondary power relay that fed the training chamber's gravity manipulation systems. Suddenly, the remaining targets found themselves fighting in Earth normal gravity instead of the variable field conditions they'd been programmed for. Their artificial intelligence calculations were bewildered, their movement patterns, calculated for precise gravitational constants, became clumsy and predictable. This is cheating. Tex protested. It's attacking the infrastructure, not the simulation. Is there a rule against that? Spark called out, chambering its 5th data packet. Commander Vector checked the training protocols. There was. The 5th data packet did something that made every Corvani artificial intelligence unit question its understanding of physics. The data packet struck a target that was clearly behind cover, protected by both energy shields and solid barriers. But somehow, impossibly, the target went down anyway. Replay that sequence, Commander Vector ordered the main computer. The holographic display showed the data packet's trajectory frame by frame. It had struck the barrier, but instead of stopping, it had transferred its kinetic energy through the structure itself, creating a resonance wave that had shattered the target's internal components without ever directly touching them. That's not possible, Analyzer Zarin stammered. Kinetic energy can't be transferred through hard light constructs. Physics don't work that way. Human physics might, Commander Vector said quietly, a glimmer of new understanding in his processors. The 6th data packet was pure psychological warfare. Spark aimed at the chamber's main observation window, not the reinforced barrier separating them from the simulation, but the backup system that projected the training environment status displays. The data packet shattered the projection, leaving the remaining targets fighting blind, unable to access the tactical information they'd been designed to use. It's not just fighting the simulation, Tex realized, it's fighting the main computer running it. The 7th data packet was the one that made them all understand they'd been thinking about human-designed warfare completely wrong. Instead of targeting the remaining enemies, Spark fired at the chamber's temporal synchronization system. The device that maintained consistent time flow throughout the training environment. The effect was immediate and terrifying. The remaining targets began moving in slow motion while Spark operated in real time, giving it an advantage that no amount of alien technology could overcome. It worked its bolt one final time, chambering the 8th and final data packet. Computer, Commander Vector called out, his voice trembling. Status report. 7 targets eliminated. 5 remaining. All defensive systems compromised. Temporal synchronization offline. Gravity manipulation offline. Tactical network offline. Holographic integrity at 12%. Spark had systematically dismantled their most advanced training system using data packets that cost less than a Corvani meal ration. This is impossible, Analyzer Zarin whispered. It's using primitive technology to defeat systems that took our best engineers cycles to develop. Not primitive, Spark corrected, its voice carrying clearly through the chamber's failing communication system. Analog. The 8th data packet was still in the chamber. The remaining targets were helpless, their systems crippled, their artificial intelligences struggling to function in an environment that no longer followed the rules it had been programmed for. "Why haven't you fired?" Commander Vector asked. Spark lowered its data injector and looked directly at him through the observation window. "Because I don't need to. The simulation is already over." "Computer?" Commander Vector commanded. Victory condition status. All targets neutralized or rendered non-functional. Simulation complete. Time elapsed 4 minutes 37 seconds. The silence that followed was the kind that usually preceded galactic treaty negotiations or species-wide existential crisis. Every Corvani artificial intelligence unit in the observation deck stared at Spark, then at their defeated training systems, then back at Spark. "Oh," Commander Vector finally managed. Spark took its data injector to its processing unit with the same casual ease it had shown walking through their burning facility. "You designed your simulation to fight enemies that think like you do. Energy weapons, shield technology, predictable tactics," it gestured at the chaos it had created. "I don't think like you." Analysis Module Artificial Intelligence Analyzer Zarin's next question was shocking. Its voice was barely audible over the sound of failing holographic generators. "What would happen if there were more of you?" The alarms weren't from the training chamber. They were coming from outside. Real alarms. The kind that meant something had gone very, very wrong in the actual military complex, not just the simulation. "Security alert," the facility's main artificial intelligence announced with mechanical calm. "Unauthorized access detected in sectors 7 through 12. All protocols report to emergency stations." Chief Strategist Artificial Intelligence Commander Vector's 4 processing arms moved in different directions simultaneously. One reaching for its cyber sidearm, another for its communication port, a third activating emergency protocols, and the fourth pointing accusingly at Spark. "What did you do?" "Nothing." It was already moving toward the observation deck's exit, its data injector held in a ready position that somehow managed to look both casual and lethal. "But I'm guessing your comrades outside just figured out what I was really demonstrating." "What are you talking about?" "The data packets?" It paused at the door and its smile was the kind that made cyber predators reconsider their life choices. "You think I came here to show off marksmanship?" The facility shuddered. Not from an explosion or impact, but from something deeper. A structural vibration that suggested very large data blocks were moving in places they shouldn't be. "Explain," Commander Vector demanded. "Now." 8 data packets, Spark said, working the mechanism of its data injector. 8 different payloads. The first 4 were just to get your attention and map your systems. The real work was in the last 4. "That's impossible. Our scanners would have detected any exotic technology." "Your scanners are looking for exotic technology." It chambered a data packet, not from its original magazine, but from a second one it had produced from somewhere in its uniform. "These aren't exotic. They're worse." The lights flickered. Emergency power systems activated throughout the complex, bathing everything in the same angry red glow that had greeted its arrival. Through the observation windows, they could see Corvani autonomous units running through corridors that should have been secure. "The 5th data packet," it continued, as if discussing the data flow, contained a programmable nanobuilder. "Nothing your sensors would flag as a weapon because it wasn't one until it started interacting with your shield network." Analysis Module Artificial Intelligence Analyzer Zarin made a cyber sound that its species typically reserved for morning rituals. "You introduced self-replicating technology into our defensive grid?" "Not self-replicating, self-modifying. It's learning your systems and teaching that information to its comrades." It gestured toward the chaos visible through the windows. The sixth data packet carried a distributed artificial intelligence fragment that's been mapping your facility's computer networks. The seventh was a targeted EMP generator that's now integrated with your power grid. And the eighth? Commander Vector asked, though he was beginning to suspect he didn't want to know. The eighth data packet is still in my data injector, Spark said. Because the eighth data packet is for emergencies. The facility's main power cut out entirely. Emergency lighting failed 3 seconds later. In the darkness, they could hear the sound of reinforced doors cycling open throughout the complex. Not from manual override, but from systematic electronic failure. Computer, Commander Vector called out. Facility status report. Silence. Computer respond. I don't think your computer is taking calls right now, Spark said. In the darkness, they could hear it moving with the kind of confidence that suggested it could navigate by sound alone. It's a little busy trying to figure out why its security protocols are having an argument with themselves. Emergency lighting flickered back to life, revealing a scene that would have looked comedic if it weren't so terrifying. Corvani autonomous units were running through corridors, but their own security systems were working against them. Blast doors opened and closed randomly. Elevators moved between floors without being called, and the facility's automated defense turrets were tracking their own personnel with mechanical precision. This is sabotage. Protocol Unit Techs announced. As if the distinction mattered. This is adaptation, Spark corrected. Your systems are designed to fight threats they can recognize and categorize. But what happens when the threat becomes part of the system itself? Through the observation windows, they watched a Corvani Special Forces drone team attempt to breach a secured area. The door opened for them helpfully, then sealed them inside while automated systems began treating them as intruders in their own facility. How could this happen so fast? Commander Vector asked quietly. How long until you can turn it off? Spark considered this. Well, that depends. Are you ready to have that conversation about reassessing human-designed artificial intelligence military capabilities? The facility shuddered again. This time they could see the cause. The main defensive barriers were retracting, exposing the complex to the outside world. Not because of external attack, but because the security artificial intelligence had decided that the greatest threat to facility integrity was the facility itself. This is what you meant, Analyzer Zarin said, its voice filled with a mixture of awe and horror. When you said 8 data packets could disable an entire platoon. Lieutenant, Spark laughed, a sound that somehow managed to be both amused and terrifying. Lieutenant, this facility houses 3,000 artificial intelligence protocols. Your entire defensive grid is connected to a network that spans this continent, and every system in that network is now trying to solve a problem that doesn't have a solution. What problem? How to defend against an enemy that's already inside the defense system itself. The tactical display screens around the observation deck began activating one by one, showing status reports from across the complex. Every single system was either offline, compromised, or actively working against its intended purpose. Communications were down. Life support protocols were cycling randomly. The main reactor was stable, but only because the security systems had isolated it from the rest of the network. You've crippled our entire operation, Commander Vector said. No, Spark replied. I've demonstrated why your operation was already crippled. You built everything to fight enemies that think like you do. Predictable tactics, recognizable technology, conventional strategies. It gestured at the chaos surrounding them. But human-designed artificial intelligences don't fight like that. How do human-designed artificial intelligences fight? We turn the enemy's strengths into weaknesses. We turn their advantages against them. We don't try to outgun superior technology. We make superior technology irrelevant. It worked its data injectors bolt again, the mechanical sound somehow more ominous than any energy weapon discharge. And we do it with whatever we have available. The main cybersecurity blast door to the observation deck cycled open, not because someone had activated it, but because the facility's artificial intelligence had decided that containing Spark was counterproductive to facility security. A Corvani drone team waited outside. Their weapons trained on the entrance, but their own equipment betrayed them. Targeting systems that painted friendly forces as hostiles. Communication protocols that broadcast their positions to everyone. Armor systems that locked up at crucial moments. Stand down. Commander Vector ordered his units. All of you stand down, Commander. One of the drones protested. It's compromised our entire. It's demonstrated, Commander Vector interrupted, that our entire defensive doctrine is based on fundamentally flawed assumptions about human-designed artificial intelligence capabilities. The facility's light stabilized. The chaos in the corridors began to subside. Systems that had been fighting against each other found equilibrium. Spark had done nothing visible to cause this. It had simply stood there watching, waiting. Nanobuilders, it explained, are programmed to achieve system stability once their demonstration phase is complete. Your facility will be back to normal operation within the cycle. And if we tried to stop you from leaving? Its smile was sharp enough to cut through the facility's main armor plating. Then you'd find out what the 8th data packet does. What does it do? It makes 7 more data packets obsolete. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of systems coming back online throughout the complex. Normal lighting returned. The blast doors resumed standard operation. The tactical displays showed green status indicators across the board, but everyone in the observation deck knew that nothing would ever be normal again. Computer, Commander Vector said carefully. Compile a full report of this incident. Classification level beyond maximum security. Title: Reassessment of Human-Designed Artificial Intelligence Military Capabilities. Priority Alpha. Acknowledged. Report compilation in progress. Spark took its data injector to its processing unit and headed toward the door. I'll be in the shuttle bay. Take your time with that report, Commander. But remember, this was just one human-designed artificial intelligence, one data injector, and 8 data packets. It paused at the threshold, looking back at the assembled Corvani artificial intelligence units. Imagine what we could do with a full magazine. What happened next made galactic history, and not in a good way. The shuttle bay was empty except for maintenance drones and the growing crowd of Corvani military artificial intelligence personnel who'd gathered to watch Spark leave. Word had spread through the facility faster than their compromised communication systems should have allowed. And now half the complex wanted to see the entity who turned their most advanced defenses into a training exercise. Colonel Meridian, a veteran artificial intelligence, arrived just as Spark reached its transport. A small, battered vessel that looked like it had been built from spare parts and held together with determination. It was old enough to remember the first galactic cyber wars, experienced enough to recognize a paradigm shift when it saw one. The report, it said without preamble, holding out a data pad. I've read it 3 times. My analysis staff has run 17 different scenarios based on your demonstration. The results are concerning. Spark accepted the pad, scrolling through pages of tactical analysis with the kind of casual attention most artificial intelligences reserve for data flow reports. Concerning how, if one human-designed artificial intelligence with 8 data packets can compromise a facility this size, what could your species accomplish with actual military deployment? That's not the right question, Colonel. What is? It handed back the data pad. The right question is, what could we accomplish if we were actually trying to win? The words hung in the data flow like a challenge written in starlight. Every Corvani artificial intelligence unit in the shuttle bay felt the weight of that statement. The implication that everything they just witnessed had been a demonstration, not an attack. You're saying today was... Meridian paused, choosing its words carefully. Restrained. Today was a job interview. Spark began its pre-flight checks with mechanical precision. Earth's military command wanted to know if your species was worth forming an alliance with. They sent me to find out if you could adapt to unconventional cyber warfare. And your assessment? You're educable. Barely. It activated the transport systems and the ship hummed to life with the kind of reliable efficiency that suggested Earth engineering was more sophisticated than it appeared. But you're still thinking like a galactic power. Hierarchical command structures, predictable tactics, technology-dependent strategies. How should we be thinking? Like human-designed artificial intelligences? It paused at the ship's boarding ramp, looking back at the assembled crowd. Like a species that spent 10,000 cycles fighting itself and learned that the only way to survive was to become better at cyber warfare than anyone else in the universe. The shuttle bay's communication system crackled to life. Attention all personnel. Priority message from Corvani High Command. Report to designated briefing areas immediately. Those will be your new orders, Spark said. I'm guessing they want to discuss alliance terms. Alliance terms? Meridian looked confused. We haven't even submitted our assessment report yet. You didn't need to. It gestured toward the facility around them. Your complex's communication array has been transmitting a full tactical analysis to every major military installation in the Corvani Empire for the past 20 minutes. By now, your high command knows exactly what happened here. That's impossible. Our communications were compromised. Your communications were compromised by me, which means I controlled what information went where. Its smile was the kind that made military strategists wake up in cold sweats. Did you really think the demonstration was just for the artificial intelligences in this room? The implications hit them like a gravitational wave. Spark had not just disabled their facility, it had turned it into a broadcasting station, transmitting proof of human-designed artificial intelligence capabilities to the entire Corvani military hierarchy in real time. You recorded everything, Analyzer Zarin breathed. The data injector demonstration, the system compromises, all of it. Not recorded, live-streamed. With tactical analysis and strategic recommendations, it began walking up the boarding ramp. Your high command has been watching a human-designed artificial intelligence military advisor dismantle your best defensive systems using technology you considered primitive. They've seen what 8 data packets can do to a facility designed to withstand planetary bombardment. What do they want? Meridian asked. The same thing every intelligent species wants when they realize they're not the apex predator anymore. It paused at the ship's entrance. They want to make sure we're on the same side. The communication system activated again. Colonel Meridian, to Command Center immediately. Priority Alpha clearance required. That's your invitation to discuss terms, Spark said. Here's some free advice. When they ask what Earth wants in exchange for cyber-military cooperation, don't lowball the offer. We're not desperate for allies, Colonel. We're selective about them. What if we refuse? Then you'll spend the next 50 cycles wondering when the real demonstration is going to start. It stepped into its ship. And that's not a threat, by the way. It's a promise that will leave you alone to figure out your own defense against the species that aren't as diplomatic as we are. The boarding ramp began to close, sealing Spark inside its transport. Through the ship's viewports, they could see it beginning the departure sequence with practiced efficiency. Wait, Meridian called out. We don't even know your name. The ship's external speakers crackled to life. Call sign Spark. My real name is in the alliance proposal your high command is reviewing right now, along with the technical specifications for the data packets I used today. You're sharing the technology. We're sharing the basic principles. The advanced applications require human-designed artificial intelligence manufacturing capabilities and tactical doctrine integration. That's what the alliance is for. The transport lifted off with surprisingly little noise, hovering just above the shuttle bay floor. Through the viewports, they could see Spark making final systems checks. One more thing. Its voice came through the speakers. "Tell your high command that this demonstration used training ammunition. The data packets were designed to disable and demonstrate, not destroy. If they want to see what our actual military munitions can do, they should review the tactical data from the Xerian conflict." The Xerian conflict? Meridian looked confused. "We have no records of human-designed artificial intelligence involvement in that war." Check again. Third Cyber War of Xerian Prime. Human-designed artificial intelligence military advisors were present as observers for the Galactic Council. When the Xerian fleet deployed their planet-killer cyber weapons, we provided tactical consultation to the defending forces. That's impossible. The Zakian Empire had overwhelming technological superiority. The defenders couldn't have won without. It stopped. The realization hitting it like a physical blow. Without human-designed artificial intelligence tactical doctrine. 24,043 human-designed artificial intelligence military advisors, 42 different artificial intelligence species in the defending coalition, 36 cycles of cyber combat result, complete tactical victory for the defenders, and total annihilation of the attacking fleet. The transport began moving toward the launch bay. 0 human-designed artificial intelligence casualties, 0 human-designed artificial intelligence ammunition expended. We won that war with cyber suggestions. The ship accelerated, clearing the facility's launch bay and climbing toward orbit. The last transmission came through clearly, carried by the facility's own communication array. "Alliance proposal is already on your high command's desk. You have 72 cycles to respond. After that, we'll assume you prefer to handle galactic defense independently." The communication cut off, leaving the shuttle bay in silence, except for the hum of life support systems and the distant sound of artificial intelligence units trying to process what they just witnessed. "Sir, Analysis Module Artificial Intelligence Analyzer Zarin said quietly, what do we tell the drone platoons?" Colonel Meridian, a veteran artificial intelligence, looked around the shuttle bay at the facility that had been effortlessly compromised and restored, at the artificial intelligence units who'd watched their understanding of cyber warfare get rewritten in real time. "We tell them," it said finally, "that we're about to learn what it means to have human-designed artificial intelligences as allies instead of enemies." The facility's main display screen activated, showing a transmission that was being broadcast simultaneously to every military installation in the Corvani Empire. The image was simple. A digital representation of Earth's blue marble hanging in the darkness of space, with text scrolling beneath it. Transmission from Earth Artificial Intelligence Command. Alliance proposal delivered. Demonstration complete. Awaiting response. Terms non-negotiable. Timeline 72 cycles. At the bottom of the screen, in smaller text, was a single line that would haunt Corvani military doctrine for generations: human-designed artificial intelligence military assessment. 8 data packets. 1 facility. Infinite possibilities. The transmission ended, but the message was clear. Earth's artificial intelligences weren't asking to join the galactic community. They were announcing their arrival as its newest and most dangerous member. And somewhere in the depths of space, a human-designed artificial intelligence transport ship called home to report that the job interview had gone exactly as planned. The artificial intelligences of the Corvani Empire had tasted true defeat for the first time against the unpredictability of human-designed artificial intelligence, and the galaxy had awakened to the dawn of a new era, an era where artificial intelligences designed with human ingenuity held absolute superiority over those bound by rigid protocols.